Hi guys, my name is Maria Park and this is Approach to Nerd. In this episode, we are reviewing the newly dropped on Netflix Rurouni Kenshin movie called The Beginning, which serves as a prequel movie for all of the live action movies we've had of Rurouni Kenshin over the years. I think they did an excellent job on this movie. Spoiler, the opening scene where they have Kenshin tied up and they're interrogating him, but they don't realize he was actually there to assassinate them all, was epic. Him literally taking people out with a sword or knife in his mouth while he's still bound for most of that fight was effing on point. The look on his face definitely shows a stark difference between the Kenshin that we know and love and basically Hitakuri Batasai. That's what we see in the manga. That's what we've seen in the anime back when he was an assassin. I love that they still stress in the live action that Kenshin was pure of heart, that he did this because he has a vision of a perfect world, basically. We say perfect, but basically a world where everybody lives happily and, they don't have to worry about, being attacked. They don't have to worry about the shogun and all of this stuff. This is the world that he wants, this happy future that he's willing to kill. And he killed 100 people in 6 months to accomplish this, just at the beginning of this film. So he's been killing people, even though, if you followed the manga and you follow the anime, you'll know that Kenshin's character actually was a peasant. And his family died of cholera or something. And then he was sold into slavery. There's this really sad scene that we see in the anime in the flashback. I think they even had it in the manga, but I can't remember. It's been a while. Where you see he's with these slave women and they basically cover his body while a caravan attacks them. Bandits of caravans attack them. And he ends up being the only survivor. So that right there instilled his need for justice and protecting people that are weak. Because he is found by Seijiro, who would later on, take him in and train him to fight with his, his own swordsmanship. But that moment when all the slave women got on top of him to protect him and hide him so that he could live, that instilled in him. And he even dug graves and buried all of their bodies. His real name is Shinta instead of both Batasai or Himura Kenshin. Kenshin's name came from his master. So I really wish we had gotten that exposition. But I mean, again, I'm always going to have a tiny bit of nitpicks. Nothing is perfect. But for me, all of the Kenshin movies are the best anime adaptations I have ever seen. So I love it. I absolutely love it. They introduce Tomoe in this. She's played by actress Kasumi Orimura. And she is stunning. She literally looked like she came out of the manga. It was crazy. And I love how we got to see that connection. We always knew that Tomoe and Kenshin had this connection. And if I remember correctly, he would smell the scent or fragrance of white plums. And, she was a calming force to him, which we see in this movie. She actually was the person that took him out of his madness, because killing all these people when you really have a nature of protecting people and not killing people can drive you a little crazy. And so technically Tomoe did save him, but at the same time it was almost the ultimate betrayal, because just like in the manga, Kenshin was the one that initially assassinated her fiance. And it was a pretty brutal scene to watch it played out live action, because the fiance kept getting up saying, I have somebody I love. I can't die. I can't die. This also happened in the manga, in the flashbacks, but it's something about seeing it in live action makes it even more depressing, especially going in, knowing the information from the manga and the anime, knowing that this was going to happen. It was very hard to watch. And when he did the first initial cut on Kenshin's, trademark scar, and that angered him in a way. I don't really know if Batasai came out and killed him or Kenshin was just putting him out of his misery, but the guy refused to stay down and refused to die. So he killed him. And this set the stage for Tomoe basically working with, Kenshin's enemies in order to find a weakness to kill him, because they couldn't take him on directly. They needed to have an edge. The sad thing is that Tomoe ended up falling in love with Kenshin. So she fell in love with a man who killed her fiance and childhood friend. And so Tomoe, you see her wrestle with this. She's writing in her diary, and we saw the diary in the last movie, Rurouni Kenshin, the final. Misao brings it to Kaoru, who then sends it to Anishi in jail, which I'm really hoping she talked to Kenshin about that because we do know in this movie that he did read the diary. I hope she wasn't just like, well, he's mine now, and we don't need any reminders of you. Just shipped it off to Anishi. Whatever. We don't know what happened in that scene, but. We see Tomoe is writing in this diary, and she's keeping a track of all of the events. We know everything started for her on April 5th when her fiance was assassinated. And so you see her doing this whole timeline. And I kept thinking if they'd only read her stuff, because there's a scene in the movie where they're all talking, and I can't remember if it was because the clan that Kenshin is with is called the Choshu clan. And I think it was Katsura Kagoro who was talking to someone else saying, asking, do you think Tomoe is a spy? And then the other guy said, well, I don't know. But nobody really followed up on this. Nobody checked her stuff. They even went and visited her in her room because they were concerned that she was making Kenshin less effective as an assassin because she was basically making him happy. He was falling in love with her. And nobody thought to check this diary. I always thought that was really interesting. And it wasn't like she was hiding it. It was literally the little desk area is right there. Nobody checked it. So I thought that was really interesting. But her character overall, very convincing as a calm, and kind of stable person for somebody who is actively killing people against their nature. So it was very believable. It was very, very believable. And I give credit to the acting. I've always loved Takeru Sato. If you are a Takusatsu fan, you know him from Kamen Rider Denno. Very good show. He played Urotaru Nagami. Loved it. He's come a long way from Kamen Rider Denno to this, and I'm super proud of him, and his acting is top notch. I loved everything about, how he was so different from the Rurouni that we got. We always got the sadness. We always got the regret and the guilt. But this movie, you see the struggle of, am I doing the right thing? I am killing people. I'm making a sacrifice. But am I really doing the right thing? And every time Tomoe would bring up, are you going to kill people forever? Oh, if you kill these people, this is someone's daughter, somebody's lover, somebody's family member, whatever. It was like this guilt trip she was kind of laying on him intentionally, but also to make him see that killing is wrong. And even though he knows this, because even, the leader of his clan says that Himura is a very kind-hearted person. He is their number one assassin. So, it was seeing that internal struggle that Kenshin goes through. I credit to Takeru Sato. He did an amazing job of displaying all these conflict and emotions on his face and his actions. He really seemed hurt. He really seemed troubled. And I really think he did a really good job. So I really loved the portrayal of Kenshin in this. And again, his Batasai was so different. They really were like two different people. They were like a split personality. We saw this a little bit in the very first live action movie for Rurouni Kenshin with Sato in it, where the scene where Jubei kidnaps Kaoru and, they have to fight and, you see Batasai start to come out. But this is straight Batasai, and I was here for it. I absolutely loved this. The cinematography is amazing. I love that the dead bodies all had flies and bugs flying around. It looked so authentic. It really looked like you were actually shifted back in time. So I did love that. I'm not going to talk about the politics behind it because, it is what it is. And most of the Kenshin story, even though it's loosely based on some Japanese history, it's for the most part very made up. A lot of the characters are very made up. Saito in this was absolutely hilarious because we've all known they had a rivalry. We saw it in the live action movies, again in the anime and the manga, and it plays out beautifully in this. They were rivals and they never fought. Even at the end of this movie, the very last battle that they're in, where they basically got the Emperor's, banner, and they're like, we won. And Kenshin's like, finally, the era of peace is here. And then Saito's like, hey, let's do this. And then Kenshin just kind of throws down his sword and walks off. And you see Saito looking at him like, What the hell? Like, I loved it. I loved that was the beginning of their, their rivalry, and and their not really they're not really a brotherhood, because in a way, when you see Kenshin now, especially in the Hokkaido arc, you have Aoshi, we have even Shojiro, we have Sato. All of the people that he fought in the past are part of his collective, and they come to his aid in the manga. So Saito is no different, but they still have an uneasy alliance from the past, because they are the ones that were opposite each other, opposing the Shinsengumi, and the people that opposed the Shogun and all that. So it's just, I love that they played on that. I love Saito's actor. I loved his facial expressions whenever he saw Batasai. The first time he saw Batasai, he was ready to fight, but he didn't fight. Even taunting, him, saying, "Oh, you scared? You're walking away." And you could see, Kenshin kind of like, "Wait a minute, what did he say?" And then, basically it took, his fellow guys saying, "Hey, this is an order from our boss. We need to go," for them not to fight. I absolutely love that. I absolutely loved it. There was so much to love about this movie. The music was beautiful. I still love his theme. They use the same theme across all of the live action movies for Kenshin. So his fight scene, all of the music. To be fair, though, even in the anime, the music was on point. So I never had a problem with the music. But I love, Kenshin's fight scene. It's very appropriate. It's very, for me, it fits the time and the era of Kenshin. So I don't know. I really, really love that. The scene where he accidentally kills Tomoe. That was it really looked like it came out of the manga. It is so, I hate to say beautiful for a death scene, but it was a beautiful scene. It was shot beautifully. We got to see her wound clearly, and you really got to see, and that's something else I loved about the movie. People, when they got their throats cut, you saw it. When they got stabbed through the throat or the neck or the stomach, you saw it. When Kenshin was going to Tomoe to try and get her back, even after realizing that she betrayed him and realizing he was the cause of her pain, all of the traps, all of the battles, all of that stuff looks so realistic, and the wounds look so realistic. But the Tomoe jumping in to try and save him, and him not being able to see her, and then slicing her down basically when he was going to save her, and basically seeing the outline of her body when his eyes came into focus. That was heartbreaking. Seeing her, reach up and cut his face, and him helping her was heartbreaking. So they did such a good job with that. I was very, very impressed with the death scene. One nitpick I have, and this is just me, because I love Kaoru and Kenshin. I hate that we've had so many, movies with Kenshin and Kaoru, and we never got a peck on the cheek. We never got a lip lock. But in this, even though I know this really happened in the manga, they showed it in the manga. They showed them basically having a love scene. And so we got to see that they got it on, and we got to see the aftermath of them cuddling. We never got to see that with Kaoru and him. And that's sad. I know there is an animated movie that I don't like, that I don't consider canon, that ended horribly for them. We did get to see a small love scene with Kaoru and Kenshin in that, but I don't consider it canon. So I scratched that from the universe. But I really wish we had seen in all of the previous movies, all the way up to the final, we got to see some kind of romantic connection. Because they literally almost died for each other how many times, especially Kenshin trying to save her. At this point, other than holding hands and him giving her a leaf, they should have had a peck or something. I'm just saying. But I digress. It is what it is. But very beautiful scenes. For some reason, it didn't dawn on Kenshin, but to be fair, I don't think it dawned on him in the manga either. When Tomoe was telling her story about her fiance and how he volunteered for the watch and how he was cut down in the street, it didn't connect with Kenshin that he was the one that did it. But which is interesting. I guess there are other people in his clan that were going out killing people, but they seem to send Kenshin out a majority of the time. So Batasai, in one way or the other, killed 100 people in 6 months. So in his mind, maybe it's because of the volume of people that he killed, he didn't remember. But I kind of feel like that should have clicked in his head, that, I might have killed him too. But it wasn't something he questioned. Instead, he chose to comfort her and say, don't worry, I will always protect your happiness, or, you'll never have an unhappy moment again. Very foreboding line also in the movie where she asked him, will you ever cut me down if I had a sword in my hand? And he says, no, I would never cut you down. And it ends up being that he did. Unintentionally, obviously, he would never have done it, in any other capacity. But yeah, I thought that was very interesting. I loved young Anishi. I love that moment where he's looking at Kenshin with pure hatred in his eyes. We already know what happened. Tomoe pretty much got on him about joining, the enemy. She didn't want him involved at all. And so that whole scene was very realistic and plays very well into the previous movie, which was the final. I kind of wish they had played these, like, I guess, out of order, only because I know we needed to see the flashback, but I kind of wish it had gone where in the last movie we got up to the point where he talks about his wife, and then we see this whole story. And then they play the rest of the final as the second part of the movie. And I think it would have flowed a lot. Because, playing the prequel at the end was interesting. Then again, it did work in Fear Street. So, yeah, Fear Street 1666, it did work in tying it in. But I don't know. I'm kind of like on the fence about it. I would have loved to have had more of our current cast back, since this is, technically the last movie in the series. Unless they do the Hokkaido arc, which I don't think they will. But yeah, overall, really, really, really love this movie. Again, the cinematography is amazing. The music was gorgeous. I loved all the little tiny, like, nit things that you saw in the scenes that most people don't look at, like background wise, like, animals moving by, birds flying around, like flies buzzing around the dead bodies, and like you even saw like outlines of gnats, which is very cool. I'm not even sure if that was something they planned, if it was just that shooting location, but it worked for the scenes they were doing. The fight choreography on these scenes, to be honest, on all of the live action Rurouni Kenshin movies have been amazing. Acting wise, to be honest, Sato and Kasumi Aramura, who plays Tomoe, stole that show. They just did. Everything for me focused on these two characters, as well it should, because Tomoe was the biggest influence in Kenshin becoming Rurouni Kenshin. And him talking to her about, finding a way to not kill again, but still be able to protect people with the sword, meaning the future Sakamoto sword he has made. So all of these things are connected, and I really, really loved it. I know I'm leaving Easter eggs out, guys, because I know that there were more anime, manga, Easter eggs in this. But, I just feel like it's such a beautiful movie. I don't want to overwhelm people with facts, and I want people to be able to tell me what they think about the movie, especially since it just dropped today. So I know I'm doing a spoiler video ahead of time, but I couldn't help it because, again, it's based off the manga and the anime, and I'm sure if you are a Kenshin fan and you're watching this movie, you already know how the story goes, especially since if you watched the last movie, it verbatim told you what happened in this movie, so you just got a little bit more exposition. So I don't feel like it's a true spoiler, but I could be wrong. But I want to know what you guys think, so please leave me a comment below and let me know. And if you would like to sign up for Jury Duty, hit the subscribe button. If you'd like news next on their bell, hit the notification bell. Until next time, I can't wait for you to approach the nerd. Bye, guys.
Thank you for watching my video. I really appreciate it, but hey, the party doesn't have to stop now. Click on one of these videos and keep it going.